Thank you for taking your seats. And now Kelvin's going to play our centering prelude. Thank you so much for that centering music, and also thank you for volunteering today to fill in on piano since our regular pianist, Daniel Clark, is away. Our opening words are, "We Come Together This Morning" by Reverend David Usher. We come together this morning seeking a reality beyond our narrow selves that binds us in compassion, love, and understanding to other human beings and to the interdependent web of all living things. May our hearts and minds be opened this hour to the power and the insight that weaves together the scattered threads of our experience and help us remember the wholeness of which we are part. We come together to renew our faith in the holiness, the goodness, and the beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and the full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth more fair with all her people one. Let us celebrate together. Our chalice lighting is by Alison Ehrman, an American pagan Unitarian Universalist. She wrote it for Ostara, the pagan and Wiccan celebration of the spring equinox. But since spring is a slow process here in Winnipeg, and since today is Orthodox Easter, it felt fitting today. Feedback on this and any other decisions I've made is always welcome after the service. Christine will light our chalice, and I invite those of you joining us at home to share in the ritual by lighting a candle or chalice of your own, symbolizing the incandescent potential as we gather in community, illuminating a world that we feel called to lovingly serve together. As this flame grows, so have the days. A hint of green belies the end of winter. May this warmth hasten the return of spring. The chalice is lit. Our gathering hymn is number 22 in the Gray Hymnal, Dear Weaver of Our Lives' Design. My printer wouldn't work this morning, so I'm operating off my phone. Good morning. My name and pronouns are Christina Swindell-Snader, she, her. If you haven't already, this is a gentle reminder to set your devices to church mode. On behalf of our Sunday Services Committee, as this morning's service coordinator, I welcome you to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Winnipeg. I also wish you a happy International Day of Human Spaceflight in honor of Yuri Gagarin, as well as Happy Grilled Cheese Day. International Haiku Day is approaching. Friday, April 17th will be the day the world honors this art form, which evolved in Japan out of that country's renga. We are beginning our celebration of haiku today as our service leader, Dr. Christine Watson, will be sharing her experiences of haiku as a spiritual practice. Thank you, Christine, and all of you, thank you for joining us today. We are grateful to gather here on Treaty 1 territory in the heart of Turtle Island and the national homeland of the Red River Métis. Treaty 1 Nation is composed of Broken Head Ojibwe Nation, Long Plain First Nation, Peguis First Nation, Roseau River First Nation, Saugeen First Nation, Sandy Bay Ojibwe First Nation, and Swan Lake First Nation. Because our theme this month is nourishing nature, because of haiku's underpinning of nature, and because Earth Day also approaches, I am sharing a nature-focused land acknowledgement today. Non-Indigenous views of the land and natural environment as having limited human contact is noted by Natural Resources Canada as a contributing factor to impoverishing Indigenous peoples, who have also faced complex socioeconomic issues. That view of nature and humanity as separate is also a contributing factor to climate change. Respect for the interconnected web of existence is one of our UU principles. Indigenous health, livelihoods, and well-being are intrinsically linked to the health of nature, and change is needed to restore and protect nature in ways that would also strengthen the health and well-being of Indigenous peoples. As Natural Resources Canada states, conserving, protecting, and restoring nature are the best nature-based solutions to mitigate climate change, and collaboration with Indigenous peoples is essential in this endeavor. As the great-granddaughter, granddaughter, daughter, and wife of immigrants to Turtle Island, I am grateful to the original people of this land in which my family has received tremendous opportunities, and to whom we are humbly indebted. Our congregation is a signatory to the Winnipeg Indigenous Accord. We want to make Winnipeg a better place to live, sharing this beautiful land with authentic, sustainable, and collaborative relationships between Indigenous peoples and settlers to everyone's mutual benefit, including that of the land and natural environment, and of course, that of the interdependent web of all living things. In that spirit of mutual flourishing, I welcome you here, with extra love if you're new to this church, and extra love if you're having a difficult time. We believe our church and our community are enriched by diversity. You are welcome here, whatever your sexual orientation, race, family status, gender identity or expression, sex characteristics, creed, age, color, ability, disability, language, political or religious belief, or culture. Hearing assistance devices are available at the sound booth at the back, and thank you to Khalil and Alejandra, who are there as today's tech team. Thank you again to Kelvin, who will be playing the hymns, and to Shannon Unger, our music director, who chose them. Thank you to Ana Gabriela Castaneda and our RE volunteers supporting the children and youth on the garden level. Thank you also to our ushers, our hospitality, including Marian and Alejandra, and our greeter, Paula, and everyone who has contributed to today's service. Sorry, I didn't name the ushers. Thank you, Janet, and thank you, Norm. And thank you, each and every one of you, for joining us corporeally or electronically in our weekly work to slow down, pay attention, search for meaning, and, ideally, discover joy. I hope that you feel comfortable being your whole self in this community. Ours is a non-creedal faith. We commit to being respectful and kind, and to treat everyone with fairness and dignity as our spiritual journeys intersect. Whether you sit or stand or dance, please let the air fill your lungs as we sing our affirmation, "Love is the Spirit." And now, as an introvert-friendly way of widening our welcome and increasing our understanding of each other, Christine is going to lead us in a raise your hand if exercise. People on Zoom, I invite you to raise your hand on camera or use the Zoom hand raise icon. And of course, anyone can just raise their hand mentally and not physically, but an actually raised hand could lead to an interesting conversation after the service over coffee or tea and raisin bread. Lead us onwards, Christine.
Good morning, everyone. So this is a practice we like to do to get to know each other in a community. So I invite you to respond honestly, or as honestly as you'd like, and also look around as you do, because you may actually find someone that you didn't know had the same experience that you did. So we invite you, this is a way of getting to know our community a little bit. And today's Raise Your Hand is on a theme of paying attention and presence. So I invite you to raise your hand if you've ever tried to be in the moment and then immediately started to think about your to-do list. Yes, common. If you've ever felt that a single moment stayed with you longer than a whole day. Beautiful. If you've ever found beauty in something quite ordinary or something that someone else found ugly. If you've ever taken a photo of something instead of just enjoying it. Raise your hand if the idea of slowing down, even briefly, feels appealing right now. Thank you for slowing down today with me. Raise your hand if you've ever noticed how loud your thoughts can be when things get quiet. Raise your hand if you've ever tried to slow down and then gotten impatient about slowing down. Raise your hand if you've missed something beautiful because you were busy thinking about something else. And raise your hand if you're trying to be fully present, but also wondering how much longer we'll have to do this. That's the end of Raise Your Hand. Well done. Congratulations.
To further widen our welcome to the greater community around us, we have our Share the Plate program. This is one of the ways our congregation, my phone went, screen went blank, okay, fulfills its mission of engaging in our wider community. Each month, we support a small local charity by equally sharing our Sunday offering and aiming to learn more about the needs being addressed, the work being done, and how we as individuals or a congregation might help. Our Share the Plate partner for April is Teen Stop Jeunesse, a youth drop-in center in St. Boniface, aimed at youth from the ages of 8 to 18. They offer various programs in a safe atmosphere for youth to come and hang out and participate in many of their programs. Teen Stop Jeunesse provides opportunities for personal growth and development to people in need of a helping hand by creating a feeling of belonging and acceptance in a home away from home atmosphere. All programs are available to any youth who would like to participate. TSJ wants the youth to know that no matter what their interests are or their personal situation is, the staff care about them and are willing to listen. The organization's goal is to create a safe, secure, fun place to go outside of school. They pride themselves on creating programming based on ideas from the youth they serve. Online donations are on our website and possibly in the chat on Zoom, and there are donation envelopes in the hymnals if you'd like to receive a donation receipt for taxes. The offering will be gratefully received. Would the ushers please come forward? Thank you for those variations on simple gifts. Our reading is from Daily Prayer with the Corrymeela Community by Irish poet, theologian, and peacemaker Padraig Tuama. This is from the introduction of the book, Oremus, which is Latin for let us pray. He writes about poetry as well as prayer, and of the form and breath and rhythm, which are so much of haiku. I have heard it said that prayer is not an art, it is a cry. I liked that thought for a while, especially when I thought that form was a form of constriction, that the breath of prayer needed to be free. But breath has form. In fact, breath is form, the fundamental rhythm by which we live and breathe and have our being. God's breath is over the chaotic waters, we read. Our breath is in the chaotic body and, we hope, might have a touch of the holy about it too. Breath, like prayer, is a cry. Breath, like prayer, can also be an art. Prayer is a small fire lit to keep cold hands warm. Prayer is a practice that flourishes with both faith and doubt. Prayer is asking, and prayer is sitting. Prayer is the breath. Prayer is not an answer always, because not all questions can be answered. Prayer can be a rhythm that helps us make sense in times of senselessness, not offering solutions, but speaking to and from the mystery of humanity. The form gives sound to times when other things fail. These are some of the things that prayer is. Prayer is rhythm, prayer is comfort, prayer is disappointment, prayer is words and shape and art around desperation, and delight, and disappointment and desire. Prayer can be the art that helps you name your desire. And even if the desire is only named, well, naming is a good thing, surely. Naming is what God did, the Jews tell us, and the world unfolded. Or perhaps naming is what the Jews did, and God unfolded. Either way, I'm thankful. Naming things is part of the creative impulse. Naming the deep desires of our heart is a good thing, even if those desires are never satisfied. Why do we move toward rhythm? Perhaps it's because the first thing we hear, the first thing we feel, it's the same thing, is the heartbeat. Perhaps it's because the breath works on form. Perhaps it's because we discover ourselves when we change a form. We need something to hold, and something to hold us, and something that tries to hold us back. Form works. Form tells truth. Form helps us to be in and out of form, in and out of season. And the form of prayer, like the form of poetry, can be local too. In Irish poetry, one finds an Aisling, a poem where the ghost of a woman wakes a slumbering poet and laments for her lost love. The ghost is a country, and the lover is the help that never helped. A Japanese haiku interplays 17 syllables with an elegance of thought, with an underpinning of nature. A sonnet has 14 lines and a volta to hurt and heal the world. So ends the reading, but because it's been several decades since my and maybe some of yours last literature class, I'm adding on a bit of Wikipedia's article about the poetic volta, that turn or torque in a poem, which often happens in haiku too. According to poet critic Phyllis Levin, we could say that for the sonnet, the volta is the seat of its soul. The arrangement of lines into patterns of sound serves a function we could call architectural, for these various acoustic partitions accentuate the element that gives the sonnet its unique force and character, the volta, the turn that introduces into the poem a possibility for transformation, like a moment of grace. And now we have Reverend Stephan with Joys and Sorrows.
Seeking to live into the words of our welcome, and fearful that haiku may hijack this morning's service, I feel obliged to remind you that March 21st was World Poetry Day, in which we observed and recognized all forms of poetry, and that this coming May 12th is International Limerick Day, in honor of the birthday of Edward Lear, who published in 1846 the magnificent volume, The Book of Nonsense. Lear wrote, I had it here. Lear wrote a compelling limerick. There was an old man with a beard who said, "It was just as I feared, 2 owls and a hen, 4 larks and a wren have all built their nests in my beard." And with that important note, each week we set aside a period of our service to honor the complexity of the many lives we weave together whenever we gather. Our sorrows and joys, our pleasures and troubles, our accomplishments and challenges. We light candles and drop stones to give expression to the varied feelings we bring with us, understanding that they cover a wide spectrum, while yearning for the restorative power of being together in community. I invite you to open your hearts, embrace your limitations, exercise your empathy, and unleash your aspirations as we light each candle. First, we light a candle for the joys we bring, for celebrations and milestones, accomplishments and good news, happy moments of even joy, whether expected or surprising. We light a second candle for the losses we bear, for sorrow and sadness, for pain and concern, for loneliness and hurt, for the grief that lingers and for the frustrations we face each and every day. This morning especially, we join with Barb Rudick and Claire Nimagata, together with their family, who ask us to light a candle in memory of their mother and grandmother, Lee Rudick, who passed away 22 years ago. She is forever in their hearts as they honor her today. I know that many of us here this morning knew Lee, and we share in that sentiment. Third, we light a candle for this community of seekers, aspiring to be builders of hope and restoration to all who are here. May we offer whatever strength we bring to the common good and draw together strength we may need for our personal wholeness. At this moment, we especially remember Carolyn Hill Carroll, who is recovering from a broken leg. We wish her a full and speedy recovery. We miss her, and we hope that she will be back with us in person, perhaps even at one of our all-family dances. Finally, we light this last candle for our world, especially for those contending with warfare and violence, natural calamities, or hunger and homelessness, whether far away or within walking distance of these walls. We hope that the peace talks go well, and the people of Iran and the rest of the Middle East may soon look to the skies to see the sun, not look to them out of fear. May we find our places to serve, conveying hope and inspiration to all who need it. Mindful of our collective joys and sorrows, let us be motivated to serve the common good. During the upcoming hymn, anyone wishing to do so is invited to participate in our stone dropping ritual at the side table, side wall, side whatever we should call it. In doing so, imagine yourself dropping what you are holding into our communal water, a token of our collective holding of each other's joys and sorrows. We will remain seated as we sing the pastoral hymn, number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness.
We have come to the meditation. After I read Into the Heart by Canadian poet Cynthia Sharp, we will share quiet for 2 minutes. I invite you to meditate, reflect, pray, or just breathe as feels right to you. The singing bowl will mark the beginning and end of our meditation. Cracked from the core, the wounded self surrenders to the healing turquoise love of the universe. To break is to let the light in and out, where it is renewed, in the source of all. To give beyond what kindness we thought possible, like winter trees reaching across the stillness, the fractured pieces of ourselves truly more beautiful for their wisdom in the flow of life. When sun shines on shattered clay, when water smooths its edges, we hold our brokenness in our open palms, trusting the privilege to serve. In brokenness, we release the construction of perfect images. Oh no. This is the problem with having my phone here. In brokenness, we release the construction of perfect images or perfect meditations to be made whole in love, in our humanity, in service, spirit rising like a phoenix. Please join in hymn number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Good morning. My name is Christine Watson. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm very pleased to be with you today to talk about haiku. And I loved that we also mentioned limerick because those are fun too. And I think that part of the joy of talking about poetry, and I love talking about poetry no matter what form it is because it was, as it was said earlier, the poetry allows us to pay attention, to focus, and to take breath. And so today I'll be talking a little bit about what haiku means to me and how it has formed my own understanding of spiritual practice and being in and with the world. So today I'd like to explore with you how haiku, which are very small poems, the Western way to approach haiku is 5 syllables, 7 syllables, and 5 syllables, can open up very large moments of awareness and joy. For many people, haiku was a school exercise. How many of you wrote haiku in school? Yes, me too. And traditional haiku, however, and the Japanese haiku that I'll be talking about for a little bit, doesn't necessarily follow the 5-7-5 tradition. So you'll see some of the haiku that I'm sharing from some of the early haiku masters doesn't necessarily follow the 5-7-5. I'll be sharing some information about the original haiku as an original form, as well as some poetry that creates or gives examples of the elements of haiku as it was originally thought about. And then I'll be sharing some of my own haiku poetry as I've been doing a haiku journey. So my own haiku journey started during the pandemic. And like many people, I was trying to make sense of a strange and unusual time. And I joined a global movement called the 100-Day Project. So every year in February, there's a global community that joins to do 100 days of creative activity. And I decided that year that I was going to do 100 days of haiku, that I would take a photograph of something in my world, and I would write a haiku about it and post it online for 100 days. Well, I started with 100 days, and I was enjoying it so much, I did 365 days. So I actually did an entire year of 365 days of haiku. And every year since, I've participated in the 100-Day Project. And in fact, I'm doing it right now. It started on February 22nd, and I'm on haiku number 49 of 100 right now. So today is 49. Initially, I wrote haiku because I thought it would be an easy way to be creative every day. 3 lines, 17 syllables, how hard could it be? It was harder than I thought. Writing haiku was not easy, but it did change the way I saw the world and the way that I moved through the world. I started noticing things that I would normally walk right past. A shadow on the snow, the way the light came through the window, an abandoned farmyard, or the way the wind moved through the prairie grass. Haiku became my way of paying attention. And attention, I've come to realize, is one of the most powerful ways to connect with a power greater than ourselves. So, what is haiku? Well, haiku, as I've said, is a very short poem designed to do something very powerful. Allen Ginsberg once said that haiku makes the mind leap, often by introducing the comparison or juxtaposition of 2 images or feelings side by side. Billy Collins says that a good haiku produces in the reader a little gasp. That leap or gasp happens because when haiku places those 2 images side by side, your mind suddenly sees a connection between them. It's like a spark. In that moment, something ordinary becomes something extraordinary. And in UU language, we might say this is a moment of awakening or insight. a small experience of truth revealed through observation. Natalie Goldberg talks about the way of haiku as bare attention, no distractions, pure awareness in the moment, when the world drops away. Haiku asks us to stop explaining the world and simply notice it. Haiku doesn't tell you what something means. It doesn't explain it away. It places you inside a moment and lets you experience it. In that sense, haiku is almost like a tiny meditation. The haiku poets, as we mentioned earlier, come from Japan. So the classic tradition of haiku started in Japan, especially poets, and they were all men, but the women came later, were Matsuo Basho, Yosabu Son, Kobayashi Isa, and Masaoka Shiki. These poets were not just writing poetry, they were cultivating a way of seeing the world. Their poems often focus on small moments: a frog jumping into water, snow falling on a branch, a single bird call. In Universalist Unitarian terms, they remind us that the sacred is not somewhere else. It's right here in the everyday world. Haikus often use kigo, which are seasonal words. These words connect the poem to nature, to the passage of time, and to human emotional rhythms, similar to how it feels as the seasons are changing right now. Our bodies respond to that feeling. These words place the poem within the larger rhythm of the natural world, and it resonates strongly with the principle of respect for the interdependent web of all existence. So here are some examples of kigo. Spring rain, a silent cat upon my lap. Buson. Edge of the marsh, the wind from rising geese in our hair. Eva's story. You'll notice that in these two poems, there's two images that are introduced. The first one is rain and a cat. The poem doesn't explain the connection. Our brains and hearts make the connection. Similarly here, we have geese and the wind in our hair. We are present in the moment. Another element of haiku is the Japanese concept of ma. It means a space where meaning happens, a pause, a silence, or a gap between two images. Because haiku leaves room for the reader. And many spiritual traditions, including the one this congregation supports, value silence and reflection in the making of meaning. So sometimes the most meaningful moment isn't the words themselves, it's actually the space between them. And that creates juxtaposition. Most haiku work through juxtaposition. It's the tension created between two images. Something small besides something vast, which is micro and macro. Something ordinary besides something surprising, which is tension or opposition. Haiku often helps us notice the connections that were always there, but we might miss. And these are the types of juxtapositions on the next examples. Among 20 snowy mountains, the only moving thing was the eye of the blackbird. Wallace Stevens. Through the slats of the outhouse door, Everest. Margaret Chula. Haiku also loves to work with humor. There's a whole lot of outhouses in haiku, actually. It's amazing. Here's one about opposition. Jackknifed rig, a trooper waves us into wildflowers. Robert Gilliland. Haiku often also speaks through absence, the condensation ring from a glass that was once on a table, the indent in a pillow from someone's head that once laid there, the lingering smell from something that was baked and eaten. Instead of explaining emotions directly, the moment suggests them. This reflects the traditions that value simplicity, stillness, and humility. They're expressed in the Japanese concepts of sabi, which is the beauty of age, solitude, and melancholy. It's in yugen, in the sense of something deeper than what we can fully grasp, a hint of mystery. And in mu, spaciousness, which isn't nothing, it's what's left unsaid, the silence between the words. Spiritually, these concepts remind us that the meaning often emerges in the quiet reflection of what was left behind, rather than constant activity. Here are some examples of absence. All day long, I feel its weight, the unworn necklace. Roberta Berry. Alone at last, I wonder where everyone is. George Sweet. Haiku often also captures the moment or the movement in a moment. Not a story about the moment, not an explanation, just a moment caught as it happens. Often that movement is very small, a shift in light, a sound breaking a silence, or something appearing or disappearing. The tiny movement, though, creates a before and an after. And that's where the meaning lives. In haiku, we don't explain the moment. We simply notice it as it unfolds and make meaning of it ourselves. The poet doesn't try to explain it for us. It invites us to pay attention to the exact instant where something shifts, because those are often the moments when we feel most awake. The more we notice these moments, the more we begin to experience the world as alive, dynamic, and unfolding around us. Woodpile on the sagging porch, unstacking itself. Marlene Mountain. Rising river, a shadow still wedged between the rocks. Susan Constable. As I mentioned, I also have had a haiku journey. And I'm writing haiku every day for 100 days or 365 days has invited me to learn a lot of lessons. It's about progress, not perfection. There's never a perfect haiku. I could spend hours on it, or I could spend 5 minutes on it. It's about being present and staying awake to the world, to honor the ordinary, and to stay curious. My wife died just over a year ago, and 3 months after she died, the 100-day project came around. And I didn't know if I could write 100 days of haiku in my grief. And I decided that I would try. Maybe I wouldn't make it to 100, but at least I would try. And what haiku taught me in those 100 days is that I could still find moments of delight, moments of joy, moments of wonder, even in my deepest, darkest days of grief. And I do believe that haiku saved me. Haiku as a practice, as a spiritual way of being in the world, allowed me to get out of my head and out of my heart and into the world in a way that allowed me to move through my grief. So before I studied haiku, I realized that I was actually using some of the tenets of haiku in my daily practice. And so I'll share a little bit of some of those examples of where I've used the elements of haiku I talked about in my own haikus. So these are my own haikus now. You'll notice that I use photographs, so I actually take a photograph and then I write a haiku about the photograph that I've taken. And please don't criticize my photography. Oh, and the pages on here, I actually handwrite out my haiku. I can't do it on a computer. I've realized that I actually have to handwrite my haiku. So that's my handwriting. Please don't criticize that either. So I've used Kigo in this one. Grief is love entombed. Oh, sorry. River ice groans as a fevered sky emerges. Spring's painful labor. That's a Bridge and Headingley. And I caught the sunset. Grief is love entombed, flash frozen in the moment of your last soft breath. Here's an example of juxtaposition of micro-macro. The sidewalk shudders as the sky crashes to earth underneath my feet. Doubt is so sneaky, creeps up on you, disguised in bright blue bubble font. Sweet lilac breezes, fleeting scent just beyond reach, smell of my mother. The next one was taken last week. Our bench sits alone. Spring waters rise with my tears, stranded without you. Here's a movement. When your heart breaks, it splatters, not shatters, oozing love's liquidity. So now we've explored haiku as a spiritual tradition, as a poetic tradition, and you've had a chance to explore some examples of haiku. So I'd like to leave you with this thought. Haiku has taught me that joy does not come from having extraordinary lives, but from noticing the extraordinary moments already hidden inside ordinary ones. If we move through the world together with a little more attention, a little more curiosity, and a little more wonder, we may discover that the small moments, like small poems, can open unexpectedly large doors in spirit. And perhaps the next time you step outside or look around here inside, you might pause for just a moment, because the world is full of haiku waiting to be noticed and written. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine. Please join in singing our closing hymn, number 313, Oh, What a Piece of Work Are We? At least one announcement, plus me. I will go while Steve comes up. Next week, we will explore our Nourishing Nature theme further. Steve Lennon is coordinating, and our minister, Reverend Stephen Jonassen, is leading. An ode to the open air. That'll be April 19th, obviously Sunday at 10:30 a.m. I have opened my mind to the open air of the universe, to things as they are, affirmed naturalist John Burroughs. Our life depends from moment to moment upon the air we breathe. Yet its winds and tempests may destroy us. It depends from day to day upon the water we drink, yet its floods may sweep us away. The faith of a naturalist accepts the world as it is, grateful for how nature nourishes us, celebrating the improbable gift of life itself, without the need for supernatural explanations or justifications, recognizing that nature's blessings and blows, possibilities and perils, are woven together in the interconnected web of existence. And the choir will sing, so I know many of you will be here, but I hope those of you not in the choir come too. Our closing word, oh wait, no, Steve, you're up, and then Norm, sorry.
Thank you. Tomorrow night, the men's group is meeting in the living room at 7 p.m. Hope to see you there. And we'll be meeting, I think, every 2 weeks after that on a Monday night. Thank you.
Stefan mentioned that we might want to get Carolyn Hill Carroll out dancing again, and there is another all ages dance coming up. It's the last Saturday in May, so mark that on your calendars. Be 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock, $10 per adult and $15 per family again. So I'd probably will have pizza again from Shorty's because that was a big hit. So mark that on your calendars.
Thank you. Now, our closing words are, "Beauty is Our Birthright" by Rebecca Savage. Sometimes we awake in the morning with a heaviness in our chest. Sometimes we awake in the morning with the endless to-do list rattling through our thoughts, the nagging reminders of what was left undone yesterday. And the pangs of, I have to do it all again today, pinching at our insides. Sometimes we awake in the morning and we'd rather go back to sleep. We would rather escape under the covers, a rock, the bottom of the closet. And then, the first sliver of sunshine may dance across our face. Beautiful. And then, the wafting scent of a new day may glide over us. Beautiful. And then, signs of life blossom around us to include inside of us. Beautiful. Beauty is our birthright. Just as we are born in love, through love, to love. To nurture beauty is to return to our essence, to touch, taste, and experience creation as beautiful, as the fragile, wonderful, and wild interdependence with the spirit of life, that which is so much greater than ourselves. May beauty wrap and delight us and guide our way. May beauty be yours now and forever. Amen and Ashe. If you have lit a chalice at home, please extinguish it now, as we extinguish the chalice here in the sanctuary, marking the end of this gathering of our beloved community. Our chalice extinguishing is also by Alison Ehrman, also for Astara. Witness the end of our chalice's light, but return to the world with watchful eyes. Soon the earth will turn inside out with the beauty of 1,000 blooms. Witness the end of our chalice's flame, but return to the world with expectant ears. Soon the gentle breeze will be flooded with the roar of 1,000 new songs. So mote it be. And now we will carry the flame. And there is coffee, there is raisin bread, there is tea. Please join us. And for the people on Zoom, if you want to stick around for a breakout room, that is a possibility too.